last one, we were both a little quiet.
Don't do this to me. It's not picking up my freaking mic right now. You say something?
Check, check, check. Check one, two.
It's picking you up, but it's not picking me up. I wonder why. Oh, that's probably why I had my gain turned all the way down. There we go. Yeah. So yours, I mean, it's at like I don't know how to read this, but it sounds pretty good, I
Check,
guess.
check, check, check. Check, check, check. I'm in the yellow.
Yeah, you're barely
Blah, blah, blah.
pressing the yellow.
Bet. All right.
Cool. So, you want to start us off?
Yeah, 1 second. Are we live right now?
Yep.
Oh shit. What's up, Twitch peeps? Okay. And then I'm just gonna throw up the my Twitch companion. My Twitch companion. Yes. Okay, good. I'm logged into the right thing.
You see what I'm talking about with the merch thing. If you give it a couple seconds, there you go. Like it's
Hold up. Let's peep. Okay, bet.
and then
I
like as
see
we
it.
get more photos, I'll just add it in there.
Yeet. Yeah, they I gotta pay Jordan. He just finished ours.
How much are we talking? I mean, you can just send it to me on Discord, and then I
Okay.
will send you over. If
Okay.
we want to do like half and half or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, let me shut my phone off too. All right. All right. This is weird. Weekly posting. So we're back on you. On you. We're back on you now. Dude,
And
I did
soon
that
we'll
to
be
people.
in you.
We'd be thanks, metaverse. I would do that when playing video games, dude. I'd be like, if I was playing multiplayer like Warzone or some shit, I'd be like, coming on you, like as in like I'm coming on your location, like to your location. I should have said coming to you, but instead I said coming on you, and I didn't realize it. And then I was like, maybe not the verbiage I wanted to use. Um, anyways, I'm not
Girl
recording,
pulled
so we
over.
need to redo this all over again. God damn it, dude. I really wanted to use our coming on you story for this. Anyways,
Oh, that's a
uh,
Twitch exclusive for now.
that's a Twitch exclusive. Bwah, bwah, bwah. Anyways, oh my god. All right, so we're gonna try something new this week. This is gonna be a short episode. Did we decide what we're calling these?
SJ
Shorts,
Minis.
minis.
Shorts. I like shorts. I don't know. We'll have to workshop it.
I like shorts too. Shorts sounds very social chic. You know?
I guess so.
I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, we're gonna do a short episode every other week. So going up to weekly content, that's a big step. You're welcome in advance. Um, he and I talked about it. We've talked about this for a long time about like, oh, bro, we got to do weekly, dog. We got to be Monday, Monday, Monday. Um, and it was a matter of like scaling. It's like I
Yeah.
don't want to go from fucking like not podcasting for 2 years, 3 years into okay, now we got to do one every week. Um, I think we've been doing pretty good with the bi-weekly shit, and so now we're gonna go up and try to do weekly with these kind of off weeks being a short, half the
Yeah.
time, half the time of what we've been doing, and talking about just random topics that come up or timely shit or whatever,
Yeah.
because got to do it for the gram, got to do it for the listeners.
Well, yeah, it's really just an effort to be a little bit more timely and at the same time bring people more content because we hear you guys asking, so we're gonna do the best we can. Just also remember we have full time jobs and Jared has a family, so
I got hella family. Um, but yeah, so we're actually pretty late to this topic. That being said, we're going to talk about SPIRIT.JP, Spirit Circuit, whatever you want to reference it as. I think it was a topic that we had on deck for a while, and then we just kind of kept pushing it off and off and
I
off.
I had never heard about it until I was scrolling Facebook and saw this article from Jalopnik, Like I've never heard of Spirit.JP. Maybe I've heard of it cursorily. Cursor. I didn't use that word right. I've heard of it in my periphery and maybe didn't pay attention because I'm not in the states. But I didn't know any
Right.
of this happened until the article came out on Monday. So
I got you. Yeah. Yeah, it's been I think it was very it, it was very like Instagram meme worthy and Facebook drama until articles started coming out, you know?
hmm
It was very like, oh, you had to know somebody that was involved with it or be in tune with the scene or be in that area. I feel like and I stumbled across like a few posts and people that were like, "Oh, I fronted 10 grand or however much money and I got screwed." Kind of like those Facebook posts that you see where it's like, "Oh, don't buy from so and so. They sold me bad parts."
hmm
Or like they scammed me and I paid them with goods and services, which first of all, don't do that. Like stop doing that.
yeah,
Uh, but
I've had to learn that lesson the hard way a couple of times.
yeah, and so it started off kind of the same way as just, you know, hey, I paid for this and now it's not happening. Or I shouldn't say it's not happening, it's happening in a different capacity, I guess.
Yeah.
So, why don't you give a little bit of the background on what's going on and then we'll talk about,
Oh,
our opinions and whatever.
so basically, from what I gathered from this article, is that this dude Joe, um, Joe Ascoli or something or whatever, was running this kind of little thing called Spirit.JP. I guess it started out as a drifting series, and they would do it in somewhere in New Jersey or something like that. And it's kind of how like the villains and all these different little sects around the country have their own little thing. You pay a membership, you go to their track events, stuff like that. But then I guess he got like the wild hair up his ass to be like, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna remake Ebisu in the states, and started trying to get people to give him money to get this thing off the ground, get the ball rolling. And I guess the idea, the original pitch is like they're gonna almost not replicate the actual tracks from Ebisu, but recreate that vibe where it's like a bunch of different tracks, one location, on site, workshops, on site lodging, on site, schools, all kinds of, it's the ultimate drifter's paradise. Um, and that didn't happen. So apparently he took a bunch of I guess the way it was working where people were giving him different amounts of money based on the amount of membership that they were going to get, and then he was going to take that money, buy a property, and then start building. From this article, it said that he only got like, I guess either he only got 38 people or he only 38 people were found or came out. But some of it says here that some of them paid up to like 10 grand
Right.
to
And
this
that's what
dude.
I was going to say is like that's even though it's not many people, if each of them pledged a lot of money, like that would materialize so fast into because for contrast, right, Villains did the same thing. They
Mm-hmm.
crowdfunded a track. Honestly, though, they did it in like a way that had checks and balances. And it was okay, here's a storefront. And then when things fell through, they were I shouldn't say they, but Nate was transparent about it.
Yeah.
They did it through, I want to say, and I could be remembering this wrong. I want to say they did a GoFundMe first, and PayPal wanted to hold their funds for like a really, really long time, like long enough to where they couldn't build the track at the time they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they went back and they were like, hey, we've got to refund everybody because we just can't get this money right. And then they opened up a storefront where it was, okay, you buy this t-shirt, it was like supreme prices for a
Uh huh.
t-shirt. And then they would use the proceeds from that to fund the track. And so, and again, still checks and balances there, still operates as a legal business.
Yeah.
It's not a like, oh, friends and family me. It was a, I'm paying you for this. I will receive this. And then you guys are going to do this. So,
Yeah. Well,
so much different. And it was 500. It was, they had, they tried to raise, gosh, 200 and some odd $1,000
mm-hmm.
at $500 a piece. So you're talking, you would need like 400 people at least, you know what I mean? To be interested in this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, way, way different. And,
Yeah. I mean, from the jump, that seems a lot more realistic to me than what this other
right.
guy was doing. I mean, it's always good to dream big or whatever, but there's baby steps for a reason. Like, there's a process. Like, you're not gonna come out the gate and just build like this drifting mecca. Especially if you don't even have like, if you're gonna do this, and based on what the article says, is like he was in talks to buy a location, and that fell through, and that kind of spawned this whole thing spiraling out of control. Like the place they were gonna build it, they couldn't build it there anymore. So if you've already taken a bunch of money from people and haven't even like secured the location, at that step, you gotta be a lot more transparent to people. And I don't know if he was like reaching out to people like, "Hey, I couldn't get the location, so either we're going back to the drawing board." But it seems like he just kept the money and started trying to rework a new plan, but
Yeah.
not letting people know what the deal was. And
Yeah. I mean, they're completely different, but it's the only thing that we can really contrast it with,
yeah,
and it's a completely different too because it was like as soon as they opened the Spirit Motorsports Academy, um, it was a completely different vibe than what people thought they were paying for when they, went for the like drifting mecca that was pitched, for Spirit Circuit.
hmm
Um, I mean, that was totally different. The driving academy was like basically like no open drift events, no like free fees to get in or like a membership or whatever to use tracks. It was basically just driving instruction at that point.
yeah, which is not what a lot of people gave their money for. And that would have soured me if I gave that kind of money and they're like, "Well, you can't just come whenever you want. You can't stay all day."
Right, like that's
Everything
the whole
is
point.
like, and it's
And
like,
we've talked about that too, is starting something like that in Texas. It's like it's really interesting. You have to look at the legality of everything. Like I'm not discrediting, the hurdles that Joe hit behind the scenes because
hmm
I know that there's hurdles. I know that there's legal issues. Like I think it was something where it's like he started off with this crazy idea before he knew anything about anything in terms of like, you know, achieving what he was wanting. I think he was just like, hey, if you want to front the money now, then I'll figure it out later,
yeah,
which is such a shitty way to go about it.
yeah. I'm looking at this article a little bit more, and it says he did make plans to give people their money back, but by the end of 2022. So it's not like you can just go to him. I'm assuming it's because that money is all gone, and so he's expecting that he can
Right.
raise it doing his thing and then get people back their money. I
Right.
mean, I feel bad for those people, but at the same time, it falls on the primary responsibility obviously falls on Joel because it's him running the thing. But the people that gave the money, you just got to be. I'm not trying to shit on them, but you got to be a little bit more aware. Like if somebody came to me and was like, "Give me $10,000 and I might come back with something," like no.
Well, right, but I think too it was a very similar, I don't want to say a similar caliber, but I think it was a situation where people knew who this guy was. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you and I don't because we're not from there. Like, and we're not from the Northeast or like or Jersey or wherever the fuck this is, Virginia, sorry. Um I've only been there once. I went there for God, what was the event? It was at Shenandoah Speedway. Fuck. Why can't I remember what it was? Anyways, I did like one event at Shenandoah Speedway, and then I did one at Englishtown. I
Mm-hmm.
did East Coast Bash, and aside from that, like that's all I know. I don't know
Were
anything
they
else
put
about
on by
anything.
the Spirit uh, Drift Series people, or is that something different?
No,
Was
I
it
don't
just in
think
that
so.
area? Okay.
Yeah. Um, Now you've got me very curious here. No, Club Loose. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I should know that, dude. We have Club Loose in Texas. What am I doing?
Mm.
Um, yeah, no, they're not. And so anyways, yeah, but I mean, from what we've heard and like what people have told us and what we've seen online, it's not like this was just a random guy that was like, "Hey, give me $10,000 and
hmm
I'll," like he's not like a drug dealer with a trench coat on, and he's like, "Give me 10 grand. I got some good shit." It was like, "Hey, man, we've been friends for a while. I'm a respected member of this community. Give me your dollars." It was like they already had a rapport with this dude, and then he flipped the script.
Yeah, or well, see, okay. So we've been talking about like this guy's just a complete dirtbag. It sounds like he tried, in his mind, he tried to do right by what, especially with the situation he was put into. But at a certain point, you gotta, just
Yeah,
not admit defeat, but go back to the drawing board.
yeah, you just
Like,
can't do that. I mean,
yeah,
it's just like anything else with car sales. Like you would never sell a car part that you don't have.
yeah,
You wouldn't be like, oh, I'm gonna buy this off Yahoo auctions, but if you want to buy it from me now, like you would never do that. And so it's the same. It's the same thing. It's just a much larger scale.
hmm,
But I will say, I think we need to get that, and that's what I was alluding to here a few minutes ago. Is we've looked at doing something similar in Texas because it's like America does need a uh, a facility like that, especially now. As drifting is kind of at the height of popularity right now, and like everybody knows about it. It's a very supported sport. I think it's as supported as it will ever be
hmm,
now. I don't think it's going to get. I think we've already talked about this. I don't think it's going to get any bigger. Um, yeah, I think it's going to stay kind of at this level. That's my prediction. And so I feel like now would be the perfect time to build something. I mean, really, the perfect time to build something would have been like 6 years ago. But
yeah. Well, Ebisu is like the golden standard of what a lot of people are trying to replicate. But I don't know. Maybe you know a little bit more about how Ebisu actually came to be. I mean, we know it's owned and operated by like a famous drifter, but was he like independently wealthy before, or like he had business partners or something like? And he did. I don't know for sure, but it seems to me like the guy, I think it was Kuma Kubo, was like, I'm doing this independently by myself, or I'm sure he has partners or whatever. He's not selling, pre-selling tickets. And I think that like pre-selling thing has like infected the world where it's like, okay, well, the
right,
best way to do stuff now is to get people to pay you for a product that doesn't exist. Instead of doing that, this guy's just like, I'm going to do this. It's like that if you build it, they will come kind of thing. Like
right.
and I think our best chance for getting it in the States is all these little independent clubs coming together, like like Club Blues, Villains, freaking all these various little groups and coming together and be like, okay, we're doing the Mecca and try to make it centralized in America. That would be cool.
Yeah, well, it's see in America is so much harder too because it's just the landmass. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
so much bigger where it's like you can't just drive 5 hours from one tip of Japan to go to Ebisu, and Ebisu is located pretty centrally. It's you know, I mean, 2 or 3 hours north of Tokyo, and Tokyo is pretty central as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I shouldn't say that actually. Southern Japan is a little bit longer, I suppose, um, but still, it's certainly not like unrealistic for people to go there at least once. You know what I mean? But well, I don't know, but they're different cultures too, right? It's like Americans are way more road trip happy than Japanese people are. I think driving 20 some odd hours for drifting here is so much more common um, than it is elsewhere.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
see that all the time, and we talked about this for Final Bout when people were driving from like Florida to Wisconsin.
yeah. I was just gonna say that people do it all the time for these events. Like, I don't think
Right,
it would be too much of an ask, especially if the facility was all encompassing, like what this one set out to be, the SpiritJP one. Like, if it was like I can just leave my car here and I don't have to worry about road tripping that down every time, then now we're talking like a whole different thing where you
yeah,
just fly in or drive in or whatever, do your thing, and then go home.
right.
But like you're saying, it would be nice to have something like this, but I don't see it happening, especially not like the way this guy's talking. Like, we're gonna do 6 tracks, gonna have a hotel. You need like someone like you would need to partner with like some kind of multi-billionaire real estate developer to get something like that done.
Right.
Like
When
you're
we
talking
were
about like a resort for drifting.
Yeah, when we were talking about estimating costs, right? Because you're looking at park in the Northwest is basically on 40 acres. I think it's on like 30 something. I could be wrong here. Anyways, so it's on 40 acres of land. And I forget the exact numbers, but basically the land in Texas when we were looking in like a cheap, part of the state was going to be a couple $100,000. It was going to be like 250 ish to get 40 acres or so, which is not big, especially if you're trying to build an entire racetrack, like some sort of facility. Um, space for spectators and parking and all of that stuff. 40 acres was like the bare minimum. And then you talk paving, which again, when we calculated it for a park-sized track, was going to cost another 220-ish, 225. And these are all estimates, but that's going off of like $5 to $7 a square foot for concrete.
Uh-huh.
And then I forget what else. I think then you're talking structures and running electric and plumbing and everything like that. It was going to end up being like $600,000 all said and done.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that doesn't count so many other factors that go into it. That doesn't count a lot of stuff that we're not planning for. Um, and so it's really interesting how much money goes into stuff like that. And so, yeah, I mean, you can crowdfund a little bit. Villains got really lucky because they built on an existing track, so
Uh-huh.
they didn't have the real estate costs. They just had to go to the track and say, like, hey, can we build another track on your property if we get the money? Because that track's closing in, gosh, 2030, 2029.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, it was only going to be open for 10 more years, and then like regardless, that villains track's going to close. So yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. They did it a very smart way
When
to
you're
keep
talking
costs down.
when you're talking about how much it was gonna cost, like just for that, when you just spitball the numbers, I assuming that this guy that was doing this thing knew that, because even just this land was gonna cost 100 grand, and based on the article saying he got 38 people, that even it, it's just not enough. So
Yeah,
it's like, if it's too good, if it sounds like it's too good to be true, it probably is, which is why I don't understand how he even convinced those people to give him money for it. So, and we got a question in the chat whether if it was like just an investment or were they just like giving it to him as a favor. I'm assuming if you're given that kind of money, you expect something in return, not just like, ah, bro, I'll help you out, whatever. It doesn't say specifically in the article though how it went down, but I mean, yeah, I mean, regardless, people want their money back.
yeah. No, it certainly was not a favor. It was like, I'm going to give you this money, and you are in return are going to give me like unlimited track use. Come and go as I please.
Yeah.
Like it was going to be um like not contractual, but it was with the expectation that they were going to receive a service in return.
Mm-hmm.
And so when the intent changed, then it was like, okay, yeah, this isn't what I signed up for. You know what I mean? And so it's like there's so many points of failure. There's a point of failure of not having anything on paper. There's yeah, I mean, it's tricky when it's something where it's like you want to trust people. But I mean, can we talk about how common that is in the drift community too? And it could be that way in other car communities. Like, unfortunately, I know nothing about drag racing. I don't know anything much about road racing aside from SCCA stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the drifting community is so common to find guys that'll just like make a quick buck off of you, for nothing or like shitty work. And so
Yeah.
every time I'm looking for a shop or just looking for reputable people to either buy parts from or whatever, it's like you really have to be careful because there are shops out there that are just not good. Um, and I feel like that's more common in the drift community than other car communities. I'm just saying per capita. I'm not saying like there aren't shitty auto shops everywhere because there absolutely are. But I'm just talking motorsports specific.
Yeah, I'm not super sure. I mean, I've been lucky enough to only deal with people that, you get what you pay for the most part.
Right.
But yeah, I've had her. But I don't think it's just a drifting specific thing. Humans are just shit. Not all humans, but you're gonna find those people. Like I remember hearing, it was like a couple years back about this guy. He has like this crazy RX-7, but I heard that he got the money for that car by like doing a GoFundMe because he had like cancer or some shit, and then using it for something else other than what the original GoFundMe was for. So, I
Uh,
mean, you hear about stuff like this all the time. I actually try to look into that to see, like, the overall sentiment was that, yeah, this guy was a fucking, scumbag, but I couldn't get any facts. And that's why this article, to me, is so interesting because this is the first time that I've, in recent memory, can recall seeing something that we would consider to be, big breaking news in the drift community outside of obviously it's like Ebisu closing or whatever. Like this, something like this, I've never seen something like this before.
right. I mean, it just doesn't happen often. It's something where it's kind of uncharted territory because most drifting series that we use host. events at existing locations, which is exactly what this guy did anyways, you know? And so it's
Hmm.
like he was already hosting stuff and wanted to like take the next step. Um, and so it's like that's a common thing. But then in terms of starting a track, Villains was the first one to do it here. And so um, I think we're going to see more, not stories like this, but I think we're going to see more tracks specifically opening for drifting because
Hmm.
it's, I mean, I don't know, man, unless Americans are just happy running oval tracks, but um, the West Coast really got lucky. The coasts, I'll say plural, got lucky with having tracks kind of from the rip that were open for drifting.
Oh, what's that? I'm getting some audio craziness.
From me,
Okay, what is that? Hello?
is that me,
Yeah, it's something crazy going on. It's like some, but it's
dude?
starting to go away. It's some sort of like weird audio
Oh, I'm
situation.
getting this on my
Oh, there we go. It's gone.
dude. This interface is junk,
Oh yeah, it's coming back.
dog.
We can pause the recording for a second, see if we can get it squared away.
Oh my god, what is this?
Oh, there we go. It went away.
Yeah, but is it gonna go back? I don't
Maybe.
trust it now. I don't
Good thing we're
trust it.
just doing a mini.
I don't trust it, dude. I'm pissed, man. I just got this new interface too, and I was thinking, and I paid a lot of money for it. I bought like a nice interface.
Uh huh.
I don't know what the issue would be because it happened on my computer and on my Mac.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. But
Going live, folks. This is how we do it.
exactly. Some minor technical difficulties, but we're gonna keep on pushing.
What were we
Um,
talking about?
something about how like, well, basically where we were kind of going with it, and something I really wanted to ask you was, do you think it is feasible to own and operate a track that just only does drifting?
No, but um, I think there's enough ways that you can diversify your income from the track to where it's not just reliant on drift events. I think
Mm-hmm.
hosting like karting or road racing events or SCCA or whatever, or having sales there or offering vehicle storage, like, I mean, I'm just spitballing here, but um, when we were talking about it, we talked about doing like Twitch streams for the track so that you could basically like live stream a full hot lap track day,
Yeah.
and have multiple cameras with switchers and stuff. And that wouldn't be like a major revenue, bringer for sure, but it would be something to where people could watch. Um, but I think you would really have to think methodically on how do you bring in more events.
There it goes again.
Fuck, man. Hold on. I'm gonna unplug my thing.
Well, I'm gonna vamp while Jared is fixing his stuff. I don't think. I think the initial lift of getting a drift track up and running would be the hardest part. But it seems to me that like once you have it going, it's kind of like low maintenance. I mean, so you have your track, you have some sort of on-site facilities for like doing basic maintenance stuff. But like, so just taking MSP as an example, freaking, you just have you know, your track. There's like a bathroom, and then there's like a garage there, and then they have on-site storage and a skid pad. What else more do you need? I wonder what like the monthly cost of maintenance is like. Let me see what's going on in the chat. Over here we have a track that's a go-kart track. Yeah, see, that's like what Jared was getting at. And I think like you have to like he was saying, diversify and get into other stuff. But I tell you what though, the answer is not getting a bunch of people to give you like a ton of money and then completely flipping the script on them. Jared, where we at, man? Hello?
Dog, we back.
There we go.
All right. Um, yeah. Yeah, I think you just have to diversify your revenue streams.
Mm.
That's it. I was basically done talking to. That's the frustrating stuff that like, you know. Oh
Did
man.
you see the chat?
Yeah, I did. What's up, Charlton? I see you.
Oh,
Oh,
that's who that is.
my back. C-Dub baby. um Shoot, dude, what were we talking about? There's something else I wanted to switch gears to. Um, damn it.
Nah, I can't remember.
Oh, dude, I'm Dory from Finding Nemo. I'm like short-term memory loss over here.
Well, Charlton's keeping it going for us. He says, how big should a track length be wise in y'all's opinion? Like basically how big it should be. What do you think, Jared?
That's a good question. Um, hold up.
What's that track? I keep wanting to say it's like airfield. It's not airfield something. It's like I forgot the name of it, but it looks like a roller coaster. They always do final bout stuff there. It's like it's really short and small, but it's like really kind of hilly. So like as you're sliding, you're going up and down these hills,
Oh,
and
dude, it looks so tight.
it's like
I
air
actually,
something.
U.S. Air.
U.S. Air. That track to me, in my mind, is like the perfect like drift track, like drift focus track. And I wonder what that started out as. It might be the same kind of thing where it's like it was a go kart track or some sort of karting facility, and they're like, let's do drifting here.
Yeah, and you've seen that more across the states too. Like we just did that in San Antonio. I shouldn't say we. I have nothing to do with it, but
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, we've done that recently where we needed to find a new facility, and the karting track was able to have us, and so that's like the new goal is to have that be the home for drifting down here. And so I think that karting tracks lend themselves really well to grassroots events because they're small, they're tight. They're kind of an equalizer when it comes to, big power versus low power, because low power guys can generally keep up pretty well on tight tracks with high power guys. The high power guys will lose them if there's big sweepers or straights or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my answer, dude. I think karting tracks or I don't think it's necessarily about the track length like overall, but how tight it is. I think tight and technical are the ideal kind of
Yeah.
layout because it levels the playing field and it makes it more fun, I think, for everybody. Um, and obviously you could throw features in a track or build a second portion or whatever. Because like MSP would shut down half the track sometimes. You could also do that for a track here and have it be a big power half where it's big sweepers or whatever, but then have the primary track be, you know, tight. So
Yeah, that's a good point. I actually didn't even consider that, like making it fun for everybody, regardless of what you brought. Like you were saying, making it technical enough to where just having 500, 600, 700 horsepower doesn't mean you're gonna walk away from people,
right.
which And I've always been partial to the more tight technical stuff as well. I'm not a huge fan of like seeing people fucking smoke out the tires on like up on the wall on like an oval. Like those things are cool to see, but no, that stuff really appeals to me.
Right. I think it's just the whole point of it, right, is to have fun. And so especially at the grassroots level, like we're not competing. We don't need you know these crazy track layouts that lend themselves well to high power cars. If the point of it is fun and being doable for everybody, and I think that those courses will lend themselves better to beginners too, because it makes them easier for beginners to learn transitions and driving lines and stuff like that. I think a lot of times when you run these courses that are massive and then just have like a few big turns, it makes it a little bit harder for the beginners to be confident in their car when it's side. If you start at a tighter track.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, solid points. Solid points. I'm looking at this U.S. Air their Instagram page, and it looks like they pretty much nailed what this guy was trying to do. I mean, it looks like they only have the one. It's like a complex or whatever, but they have
Yeah,
multiple layouts within that, and it looks like this is it. Like they're pretty much already there. Maybe add
right.
some sort of. I think the one of the coolest things that Ebisu has is that tailgate course. Now, and obviously that'd be something that's dependent on the terrain already around you. But outside of that, it looks like they already have it.
Right.
I don't know how they run their events there, but a lot of the footage I see, a lot of the best footage I see is from this course, just inherently because of the way it's laid out and the way it looks.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think as far as final bout goes, like that's the perfect venue to have it.
Mm-hmm.
Um like you said, I mean, it just lends itself really well to drifting specifically, but then it's also really good for spectators. And so It's like having you really have to be conscious of both, because it's like drifting does pull in spectatorship even at a grassroots level. And so being able to cater to both is really important too. And so when you're talking about developing a new track, I think you really need to be conscious of both of those items. Like you could have a really bitchin' track, but if you have nowhere, like no good vantage point for spectators, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. Whereas if you catered to spectators, obviously the drivers are going to come regardless, like you're not going to have a problem being like, hey, we're doing more drifting,
Yeah.
and so I think that being able to kind of bridge the gap for spectators is the important piece here.
Yeah, and as you're saying that, it's really making me think back to the original ask, like this, what this guy was trying to do. It doesn't sound like there was much thought given to that. I mean, obviously he's in the early stage of developing, and I'm referencing the Spirit Japan thing. He's referencing Ebisu as like, oh, we're gonna make it just like that. But instead of doing that, how about you get a little bit more original with it and really sit down and think like, okay, when it comes to drifting, what are the things that people want to do? They want to drive a lot, yes, but they also want to hang out with their friends. They just want to hang
Right.
out and have a good time. So
Yeah.
it seems like the ask or the original idea should have been, we're going to make one or two badass tracks, but really focus in on that experience of coming and hanging out with your friends, making it easy for on-site camping. Obviously, in the original brochures, like, we're going to have a lodge. Okay. All you really need is just like a campground with some goddamn toilets
Right.
and
Right.
freaking on-site food for people to eat. And I remember when you were talking to Jared on that other episode, he was basically explaining like Ebisu has all that infrastructure there already. It's not just from Ebisu. Like there's a hotel and he was saying like there's a freaking up garage right there. Like that experience is not going to be easily replicatable because it's kind of came organically. So
Right.
if you're going to try to recreate something like that in the States, you need to really boil down and focus on, these are the 3 or 4 key things that we have to have. Let's do that. Don't come out
Yeah.
like we're building 6 tracks and we're going to have a hotel and we're doing all this crazy shit. And it's like, okay.
Yeah, for sure. Um, Shoot, dude, how do we want these shorts to look, man? I mean, we're really flying by the seat of our pants here. Do we want it to be a single topic, or do we want to wrap it up with any viewer submitted stuff too?
I like the idea of saving the viewer submitted stuff for the longer ones so we can get more in depth. I don't want to, have someone unless we have something short and sweet that we can get into. But you know, I'm like you said, we're flying by the seat of our pants. So if you want to quickly pull up and see if we have anything, then but if we start doing that, it might turn into like a full length episode. So that's why I kind of wanted to
Dude,
just
you're
keep.
you're right. Okay, yeah, let's just do a quick outro then, and we'll call it good. This one's kind of a little choppier, but I think we'll be able to edit it, to where it
Yeah,
sounds.
make it short and sweet.
Yeah.
Thanks, Charlton. I don't know if you're still in here, but thanks for showing up and hanging out with us, giving us some topics.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Thank you guys for listening. If you like the shorts, message us. We're gonna keep doing them regardless. But I mean, we get feedback all the time from you guys on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. And so just getting that stuff in is nice. We've got more stickers on the way. They are fresh out the printer. Those will be up on the website shortly. And by shortly, I mean like probably a couple weeks from now, realistically.
Yeah.
Um, Aside from that, as always, officially, unofficially brought to you by Lucky Labo. Promo code Team Labo at checkout, 15% off. They just started selling turbos too. Maybe try it. Maybe it doesn't work. I don't know.
That's a
As
repeat
all,
endorsement.
hey, that's all right. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Anyways, yeah. As always, check us out on Facebook, Sincerely Japan Podcast, Instagram, Sincerely Japan Podcast. Gosh, YouTube, Twitter, we're everywhere. Gmail, Sincerely Japan Podcast at gmail.com, sincerelyjapan.us. We're gonna have so many plugs. Find them in the description. I think I just said all of them anyways, but that's that. You got anything else to add, Darius?
Nah, man. Peace out. Happy holidays, everybody. Happy New Year.
Happy holidays, happy new year 2022. May it bring you many more car parts. Later. All right, I gotta save this thing.